polymer lower, and some have the polymer upper. Some just have polymer lowers and the regular steel upper, and then they got all steel ones too. So I got this long time ago. And what happened was I already took it apart. I just did the video on it with the suppressor on it, and the gun was sitting somewhere, and then I bumped it and it fell and broke in half. You can still see the pieces from the upper still hanging in there. Yeah, it just happened to look. I thought the gun came apart, but it broke in half. And it ain't like the gun has been super used. Barely got any rounds through it. I'm trying to get this thing out. So the way they make these is they put steel, it's like steel, reinforced steel around the parts that need it, like here. This part, and that's pretty much it. Like I never had no problem out of these running. But after that, I never bought any more. I had them like, they were like some of my first AR pistols that I got. And back then when I got them, they wasn't that cheap how they is today. Yeah, so here's that piece. And here's the other piece, which is crazy. So you can see how they put steel reinforced right there, which ain't good enough. Like I said, I ain't beat this gun. This gun probably don't even have 300 rounds through it. Probably not even 100 rounds. So we already started taking it apart because I was just gonna scrap it, but I'm like, the lower is still cool. So I just ordered a receiver, a steel one. I'm not dealing with this stuff anymore. And you can see how they put the steel right here, steel reinforced right there. Here's where it broke at, and this one broke straight out of there. So that's just a bad deal, period. It was sitting on this part and it just tipped over. So that makes me think, like, if you got in a gunfight and you dropped this gun, it most likely would have broken half. So I'm not trying to like shit on them, but look, I can bend this with my hand. The ATIs, I got maybe 4 in total. A 450 Bushmaster, which is all steel. It's the 450 in, and that's the exit on it. Then we got the 7.5, which is steel upper, but polymer lower. I'll show that in the video. And then I think I got the 2-300 blackouts was all polymer. So yeah, the first thing I started doing was taking it apart and seeing if I was gonna salvage it, because I was just going to buy another. But then I thought about it. I got this 7.5, so I was gonna just scrap this 8.5. But then I'm like, I could just build the 8.5 out. You know, the barrel should be cool, and everything else that's metal is cool. Handguard is cool, so that's gonna stay with that. The barrel, took the barrel out, and the bolt, because that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna keep the bolt in all these parts, and yeah, so I'm gonna just get a new receiver that's steel and put all this stuff back in there. The upper feels more flexible than the lower. The lower feel like it got a little more structure to it. So that's why we're gonna keep the lower and rebuild the upper. So we got the gas block, charging handle. So yeah, pretty much all of that stuff. So once the upper receiver get here, we'll start putting all this stuff back in there, cleaning it. All right, so this is the 7.5. And this was the first one I got, and like I said, now I didn't beat the hell out of this one. Now this been dropped. I travel with this, you know, all of that. So this one has the steel aluminum upper. You can see it got the marking on there, but the lower is plastic or polymer. So I never had any issues with the grip being loose on this one. We changed the trigger, wasn't no issue with that. Takedown pins, no issue. Video once we rebuild it.
I see your motivation, I see your movement is in effect, and I fucking love that shit.